Have you ever stopped to consider that your mind could be your greatest ally or your most ruthless enemy? Every single day, it speaks to you. Some days it lifts you up, whispering words of courage and clarity. But more often, it turns against you, feeding you doubts, telling you that you're not good enough, that you're running out of time, that no matter what you do, it'll never be enough. And without even noticing, you start to believe it. But what if I told you, your mind isn't the villain here? It's not your enemy. In fact, it's a supercomputer, the most powerful one ever known. The problem isn't the mind itself, but how you've been aiming it. Most people, without realizing, turn this incredible force inward, using it against themselves instead of for themselves. But today, right now, that changes. Because the same mind that's been sabotaging you can be reprogrammed to become your greatest weapon. A tool that brings you unshakable focus, deep inner peace, unbreakable power, and complete personal transformation. And no, this isn't some vague, feel-good, motivational fluff. What you're about to learn is deeply rooted in the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophy, reinforced by modern neuroscience, and designed for those who are serious about mastering themselves in the real world. In this journey, we'll uncover why your thoughts often spiral out of control. We'll explore how your brain traps you in negative loops, and most importantly, I'll share 5 simple, powerful mental rewiring techniques, methods that the Stoics themselves would admire, and that science today confirms is highly effective. So, whether you're exhausted from battling that relentless inner critic, or you're ready to finally turn your pain into a source of unstoppable strength, this is your moment. Close every tab, silence the noise around you, and tune in. From this moment forward, your mind won't control you, you will control your mind. Let's begin. Your brain is the most powerful tool in the known universe, more potent than any machine ever built, more adaptable than the most sophisticated software, and, if misused, more dangerous than any weapon, because when it turns against its owner, it quietly becomes a silent destroyer. The tragedy: most people will live their entire lives without realizing this. They walk around thinking their mind is who they are, believing that the voice of self-doubt, fear, and endless overthinking is somehow their true self. But it's not. That voice you hear isn't truth. It's just programming. It's a pattern you've been running for years. And long before modern neuroscience confirmed this, the Stoics already knew it. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest thinkers, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But here's the problem. Very few people ever claim that power. Instead of directing their mental energy outward to build, to lead, to create, they turn it inward, turning their own mind into a war zone. They obsess over what they said, what others might be thinking, and what could possibly go wrong. They rehearse failure in their heads on repeat, unknowingly programming themselves for defeat. And let's be brutally honest, your brain is a goal-seeking machine. Whatever target you give it, it will scan the world to confirm it. Tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," and your brain will instantly filter reality to prove you right. Say, "This is hopeless," and it will highlight every setback, every disappointment, and blind you to every opportunity. But here's the liberating truth no one ever tells you. Your thoughts are not commands. They're suggestions, and you do not have to obey them. In fact, when left unchecked, the default state of your mind is chaos. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Studies have revealed that when your brain is idle, the default mode network, or DMN, kicks in. And it's this DMN that fuels overthinking, self-criticism, rumination, regrets about the past, and anxiety about the future. In simpler words, when your mind isn't managed, it becomes a loop of emotional noise. That's why the Stoics trained daily to cut away the unnecessary. As Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." He wasn't being poetic. He was being clinical. Because the harsh truth is this: most of your suffering isn't caused by the events themselves, but by your interpretation of them. You can't control every thought that crosses your mind, but you can control what you focus on, and focus is power. When you train yourself to direct your attention not by accident, but consciously, deliberately, you take back control. That's when the transformation begins. We ended the last chapter by realizing a powerful truth. The mind is a tool, and you can either let it control you or train it to work for you. Now, here's where the real transformation begins. But let's be clear, this kind of transformation doesn't happen by accident. Just like training your body to grow stronger, faster, and healthier requires discipline and effort. Training your mind demands the same commitment. The harsh reality is, most people are walking through life with their mental energy set to self-destruct mode, and the worst part, they don't even realize it. Day after day, without intention, they feed themselves negative thought loops, cling to weak assumptions, absorb toxic beliefs, and let emotional instability shape their internal world. It's no wonder so many people feel lost, anxious, and exhausted. And this is why real confidence, the kind that lasts, doesn't come from empty positive thinking or surface-level affirmations. It comes from clear mental discipline, from the ability to catch yourself when your thoughts begin to spiral, to stop and redirect them. It's having the skill to take a painful, intrusive thought, question its validity, strip it of its power, and move forward anyway. It's choosing, moment after moment, to stop fighting yourself long enough to finally start building yourself. So, here's your wake-up call. You've been gifted a supercomputer between your ears. Stop using it to sabotage your own system. Stop running code that was never meant to serve you. It's time to reprogram that mind and start using it to build the life you actually want. Because here's the liberating truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. You are not your fears. You are the one who chooses whether or not those fears get to lead your life. You are not your mind. You are its master. And this is precisely what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." So ask yourself right now, what colors are you feeding your mind with? Are you filling it with discipline, clarity, strategy, and peace? Or are you letting it be polluted by fear, by meaningless noise, by the opinions of people who don't even walk in your shoes? The answer to that question determines not only how you feel today, but the shape of your future. And it all begins with this one shift. Start treating your mind like the supercomputer it truly is. Be intentional about what you allow in. Every thought is a command line. Every belief is code being executed. And your destiny, it's nothing more than the result of the mental program you choose to run. Let's move forward, because in the next chapter, we'll uncover something even deeper. The hidden loops that quietly run in your mind, sabotaging your potential without you realizing it. And more importantly, how you can identify those loops and break them for good. You see, every day, most people believe they're thinking, but the truth is, most of the time, they're just looping. Same thoughts, same reactions, same limiting narratives, disguised as rationality. You tell yourself you're being cautious, but in reality, you're just afraid. You claim you're being realistic, but you're actually rehearsing failure in advance. You say you're analyzing the situation, but in truth, you're paralyzed by overthinking. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of the thoughts you have today are just recycled versions of yesterday's self. That's how the brain works. It's designed to run in loops, learning through repetition. It builds neural highways, and whichever path you tread the most becomes the default. So if you've been replaying old stories of pain, rejection, failure, and criticism, whether you realize it or not, those narratives become your mental home base. Your mind starts expecting negativity. It starts scanning for it, and worst of all, it starts creating it. This is how even the most talented, capable people sabotage themselves. They confuse familiar pain with absolute truth. The Stoics had a name for this invisible enemy: fantasia, distorted impressions. Seneca wisely warned us, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And you know what? Modern neuroscience has now proven he was right. Your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined fear and an actual threat. The same regions fire, the same chemicals flood your body, the same cortisol response triggers stress. In other words, your body suffers not because of what's happening, but because of what your mind keeps rehearsing. In the last chapter, we uncovered how your mind loops in negativity, how it turns imagined fears into real suffering, even when nothing is actually happening. And here's the truth you need to understand. That cycle doesn't break on its own. Left unattended, it will keep spinning, day after day, until it quietly rewires your identity. If you want to break free, you'll need two things. First, awareness. You cannot fight what you can't see. That's why practices like journaling, meditation, and quiet reflection aren't luxuries for people with too much free time. They're weapons. These habits give you the ability to step back and observe the mental loops, instead of being dragged around by them like a puppet on strings. So here's something to try. The next time you feel yourself sliding into a negative spiral, pause. Don't just react. Ask yourself, is this thought helpful, or is it just a habit? Am I responding to reality, or am I reacting to what I've been conditioned to expect? What would a Stoic do with this impression? Even that small moment of distance between you and the thought gives you power, because now you're not the thought, you're the thinker. Second, interruption. You have to break the pattern before it gathers momentum. Most people make the fatal mistake of waiting too long. They let a negative thought repeat 20, 30 times in their head before they even consider stepping in. By then, it's already hijacked their mood, their mindset, and their entire day. But if you interrupt it early, on the first or second repetition, you collapse the loop before it becomes part of your identity. How do you interrupt it? Simple. Move. Stand up. Go for a walk. Breathe deeply. Shake your body to release the tension. Laugh at something absurd. Watch a ridiculous video. Do anything to snap yourself out of the mental loop and reset your emotional state, and then reframe. Challenge the story your mind is feeding you. Ask yourself, what if the exact opposite were true? This isn't denial. It's what cognitive science calls cognitive restricting. Epictetus said it perfectly. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them. If your judgment is flawed, don't waste your life trying to fix the world. Fix the lens you're seeing it through, because here's a powerful secret. You don't need to solve every negative thought. You only need to stop feeding them. Negative thoughts are like weeds. They only survive if you water them with attention. And the brutal truth is, most people don't lose in life because they're weak, but because they constantly invest their mental energy into the wrong internal dialogue. They sponsor their doubts, fund their fears, and validate their shame. And then, they wonder why they feel so stuck. If you truly want to redirect your life, it begins by redirecting your focus. Every time you break one of those toxic loops, you weaken it. Every time you interrupt an old destructive pattern, you reclaim a little more of your mental energy. Every time you challenge a lie in your head, you train your mind to obey you, not your past. That's what real self-mastery looks like. It's not about perfection, it's about pattern recognition. It's not about controlling every emotion you feel, but taking authority over which ones get to stay, and which ones get shown the door. So let's be clear. From now on, let this be your new, unbreakable rule. If a thought weakens you, it doesn't belong in you. No negotiation. Simple, ruthless, stoic. You are building a mind designed for clarity, for peace, for leadership. And remember, you can't lead others if you can't first lead the conversations inside your own head. Every loop you break brings you one step closer to mental freedom. And let's get brutally honest about something else. You're not tired, you're distracted. You're not overwhelmed by life itself. You're overwhelmed by everything that doesn't matter. We live in an attention economy where your focus is currency, and every headline, every notification, every pointless opinion online is meticulously designed to bankrupt your attention and steal your clarity. You're not losing your mind. You're renting it out to garbage. And if you don't take back control, someone else will. In this world, focus is no longer a luxury. It's a form of self-defense. If you don't learn what to ignore, you'll never discover what's truly valuable. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men of his time, wrote in his Meditations, "You must reclaim your mind from distraction. Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free than your own soul, if you keep it pure." He ruled an empire, yet he made time for stillness and silence. What's our excuse? Because here's the hidden cost of noise. Every time you scroll, swipe, or react to nonsense, you're making a decision. I choose this over my peace. I choose this over my growth. I choose noise over clarity. And while it doesn't always feel like a big deal in the moment, the long-term effect is devastating. Mental clutter is invisible, but it causes real exhaustion. It drains your ability to think clearly, to act decisively, to live with purpose. And worst of all, it leaves you vulnerable to anything and anyone willing to hijack your mind. That in the last chapter, we uncovered how noise, distractions, and pointless mental loops silently drain your clarity, energy, and ability to lead your own mind. And here's the deeper truth you need to face. This isn't a coincidence. It's exactly what the world of noise wants. Because when you're distracted, you're easier to control. When you're reactive, you're predictable. And when you're constantly chasing validation, likes, and approval, you become a puppet for whoever knows how to pull those strings. But here's the Stoic truth. A focused mind cannot be manipulated, and that in today's world makes you dangerous. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Your brain has a limited cognitive bandwidth, a finite supply of mental resources used to think clearly, plan effectively, regulate your emotions, and make smart decisions. And when you waste that precious bandwidth chasing cheap stimulation, likes, comments, endless scrolling, useless debates, you're burning the very fuel meant for your personal transformation. Stanford researchers even gave this phenomenon a name: attention residue. Every time you switch tasks, jump between apps, or absorb drama, a part of your focus stays stuck on whatever you just consumed. After a dozen of these switches, your mind feels fragmented, scattered, and foggy. And here's the hard truth. Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from removing what doesn't matter. If you want to take back control, you need to reclaim the reins of your attention. And to help you do that, here's what I call the Stoic Focus Protocol. A simple but powerful framework used by truly confident, high-performance minds to defend their focus like their life depends on it. Because it does. First, silence is scheduled, not optional. Stop hoping for quiet moments to magically appear. Create them. Block out time for deep, uninterrupted thinking. No phone, no noise, no emails, just you and your mind. Start your mornings on low stimulation mode. No social media, no messages, no unnecessary noise. Use that time for journaling, stretching, reading, or reflecting. Even 30 minutes a day builds mental muscles stronger than hours of scattered multitasking. Second, your inputs determine your outputs. What you consume rewrites the script for how you think, feel, and act. If you fill your mind with drama, outrage, and shallow entertainment, don't be surprised when your thoughts start to reflect that. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy. Stop watching negativity disguised as entertainment. Replace junk dopamine with curated inspiration, books, lectures, timeless, Stoic texts. As Epictetus once said, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. That includes being out of touch with the latest nonsense and chaos flooding the world. Third, guard your inner circle. Some people are mental pollution. They don't challenge you. They distract you. They don't fuel you. They drain you. And protecting your inner space isn't elitist. It's your responsibility. Surround yourself only with people who make you better. The rest is noise. As Seneca taught, focus is not a skill, it's a lifestyle. Most people think they need more motivation. They don't. What they really need is fewer distractions. Fewer open tabs, mentally, emotionally, and digitally. Less energy wasted on pleasing, proving, or predicting. Because your real power isn't found in what you do, it's hidden in what you stop doing. So eliminate the unnecessary, and the necessary will reveal itself. Stop feeding the noise. Stop reacting to every little thing. Stop letting the world dictate where your mind lives. Reclaim it. Because a calm, focused mind cuts deeper than a loud, chaotic one. And the person who learns to defend their attention in this world becomes untouchable. Let me tell you something most people never realize. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes them. And the moment you forget that, you become a prisoner to every emotion, every trigger, every passing mental storm. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it a name. Marcus Aurelius, one of history's greatest thinkers and leaders, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And that wasn't just a motivational quote. It was survival training. For anyone who ever hopes to master their mind in a world built to hijack it, in the last section, we faced a tough truth. You are not your thoughts. And unless you reclaim control over your focus, the world will hijack your attention and steer your life. Now, let's take that one step deeper. If you truly want to master your mind, you must understand this. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you choose to relate to it. Most people suffer, not because of what actually happens, but because of the stories they attach to those events. You get rejected, that's just the event. But the pain, it comes from the meaning you added on top of it. I must not be good enough. They never valued me. I always fail. It's not the rejection that breaks you. It's the interpretation you weave around it. You don't spiral because of what happened. You spiral because you identified with what happened. And this is exactly where detachment becomes your greatest weapon. So what is Stoic detachment? Really, let's be clear. It's not apathy. It's not about becoming emotionally numb or pretending you don't care about anything. Detachment is emotional intelligence in action. It's the ability to observe your inner world, the thoughts, feelings, and impulses without letting them dictate your behavior. Picture a seasoned general standing on a battlefield. When the enemy charges, he doesn't scream. At the sound of the first explosion, he doesn't panic. Instead, he watches. He assesses the terrain. He studies the enemy's movements. And then, with precision, he makes his move. You must become that general for your own mind. Because here's the trap of identification. You tell yourself things like, I am angry, I am anxious, I am depressed. But those are states, not identities. The moment you label yourself as the emotion, you become it. Instead, say, there is anger within me. There's anxiety rising. There's a heaviness today. Can you feel the difference? The first statement makes you the emotion. The second makes you the observer of it. And once you become the observer, the emotion begins to loosen its grip. This isn't spiritual fluff, it's high-performance neuroscience. Backed by a proven method called cognitive distancing, it reduces emotional reactivity and sharpens decision-making. In simple terms, if you can name it, you can tame it. Now, here's how to strengthen that inner observer, your personal psychological fortress. First, the 5-second rule of awareness. Before reacting to anything, a thought, a comment, a trigger, pause. Take 5 seconds. In those moments, name what you're feeling. I notice tension. I feel the urge to prove myself. There's fear showing up. That tiny gap between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Second, journaling as emotional detox. Each evening, dump your thoughts onto paper, not to complain, but to dissect. Ask yourself, what emotion dominated me today? What triggered it? What story did I attach to it? This simple ritual turns unconscious reaction into conscious reflection, and reflection, over time, becomes wisdom. Third, meditation. Not to empty your mind, but to see it clearly. Don't sit down just to relax. Sit down to watch. Notice the patterns, observe the cravings. Let the emotions rise like clouds in a wide-open sky, and let them drift away. You are not the storm. You are the sky it moves through. Detachment is power because it prevents sabotage. Without it, you say things you regret. You make decisions fueled by fear. You chase validation instead of vision. You react to what should have been ignored. But with it, you become untriggerable. You think 3 moves ahead. You respond instead of explode. You lead with calm, not chaos. This is the intersection where spiritual discipline, executive mindset, and emotional intelligence meet. The ability to stay still while the world around you spins out of control. And let's be honest, that calm isn't a natural gift. It's a decision, a discipline, a muscle built through daily observation and practice. The Stoics were not monks, hiding from pain. They were warriors of the mind, training themselves to see clearly, to detach from impulse, and to lead themselves when life made no sense. And now, it's your turn. Because you don't need more advice, you need more awareness. Not more opinions, more observation, not more reaction, more restraint. Because the one who can master that masters himself. Your problem isn't energy, it's direction. Every day, you wake up with a full mental battery. But instead of focusing that energy like a laser, most people scatter it like a broken flashlight, leaking power into drama, distraction, comparison, and meaningless noise. And then they wonder why nothing in their life changes. But here's the simple truth. You don't lack motivation. You lack alignment. You lack focus. And a high-performance mindset isn't about doing more. It's about doing what matters. With ruthless clarity. In the last section, we realize that most people don't lack motivation. They lack focus and the discipline to direct their mental energy where it truly matters. Now, let's go even deeper. Because mastering your energy isn't about doing more. In fact, it means doing less, but doing it with absolute, ruthless clarity. And that clarity only begins the moment you stop letting your energy leak into meaningless places and start commanding it like a true leader of your own mind. Scattered energy is the silent enemy of self, and let's be brutally honest about it. Most people aren't in control of their energy at all. They outsource it. One text message ruins their entire mood. A single hateful comment hijacks their focus for hours. An old memory replays itself and sends them spiraling for the rest of the day. This isn't a life of personal power. It's a life of constant reactivity. And in the wise words of Epictetus, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. In other words, your energy isn't stolen. You give it away. Every time you obsess over a meaningless opinion, chase external validation, or waste hours in comparison and gossip, you voluntarily hand over your most valuable asset. Here's the Stoic truth you need to remember. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. And if you don't make a conscious decision about where your energy goes, someone else will. So how do we shift from scattered to strategic? It begins with adopting the discipline of energy allocation, because energy, like money, needs a budget. And the most elite performers in every field, from athletes and philosophers to CEOs, treat their energy like gold. They don't give it away to petty arguments, pointless scrolling, toxic people, or regrets about things they can't control. Instead, they live by one timeless Stoic principle. They constantly ask themselves, is this necessary? Marcus Aurelius himself practiced this. Because every unnecessary distraction is a hidden tax on your power. Every cheap dopamine loop, every mental argument you replay but never resolve, every unspoken grudge you carry around, all of it you pay for in clarity. And it's clarity that creates strength, decisiveness, and dominance in any field. Energy must be directed, not just defended. It's not enough to protect your focus from what doesn't deserve it. You have to aim that focus with ruthless intention. Picture it like a weapon, because that's exactly what it is. Ask yourself daily, what one project deserves my best energy today? What one habit is silently draining my power? Who in my life pulls focus from me just by being near? What thought pattern is wasting my willpower right now? And perhaps the most important question of all, what would the strongest, most disciplined, the version of me do at this very moment? Because when your energy is scattered, you feel lost. But when it's directed with intention, you become dangerous. You develop what I call the laser mindset, emotional discipline in action. Imagine this scene. A man walks into a room filled with chaos. People are shouting, phones are ringing, alarms blaring, everyone's panicking. And what does he do? He doesn't react. He takes one slow, steady breath. He scans the room, he walks straight to the problem, and he solves it. That, right there, is presence. That's power. That's emotional discipline in motion, not the absence of emotion, but mastery over where your emotion is placed, because emotion without direction is just noise. But emotion, when guided by focus, becomes unstoppable firepower. Now, how do you build that kind of presence? Here are 4 simple yet powerful habits to shift from scattered to strategic. First, start your day in silence. Before you check your phone, before you open your inbox, before you speak to anyone, sit in stillness, breathe, and ask yourself, what do I want this day to mean? Second, cut one energy leak per week. Maybe it's doom scrolling, late night gossip, or pointless debates. Pick one habit every week to either eliminate or reduce. Over time, this transforms your baseline clarity. Third, protect your peak hours. Most people are sharpest in the first 3 hours after waking. Guard those hours like a treasure chest. No emails, no meaningless news, no social media. Use them for deep, meaningful work. Fourth, journal your mental waste at the end of each day. Write down where you leaked energy. Don't judge yourself, just observe. Because awareness builds correction, and over time, awareness becomes mastery. And here's the final insight. In a world that glorifies multitasking and constant noise, the one who focuses wins. The Stoic path demands singularity, not because it sounds poetic, but because it works. The warrior sharpens one blade, the builder lays one stone, and the Stoic minds one thought. That's the power of intentional energy. It moves mountains quietly, one precise, focused strike at a time. So the next time you feel scattered, remember this: a chaotic life is often just the result of undisciplined energy. And to reclaim that life, you don't need more effort. You need to reclaim your focus. Let's keep going. In the last chapter, we uncovered how scattered, undisciplined energy drains your strength, clarity, and focus. Now let's turn to another silent trap that steals power from within. The moment you outsource your self-worth, and sadly, this is what most people do every single day. They don't stop to ask, what do I value? Instead, they ask, what do others approve of? They live inside a distorted mirror, one that reflects back filtered opinions, curated social standards, and projected insecurities from people who barely even know themselves. And then they wonder why their confidence feels fragile, why one tiny criticism can shatter their mood, or why silence from others feels like rejection. Here's the truth. No one teaches you. When your sense of value depends on other people, it will vanish the moment they change their mind. And they will. This is what I call the confidence trap of external validation. You post something online and immediately check for likes. You wear a new outfit and scan the room for approval. You speak your mind in a conversation, only to replay the moment later, overanalyzing every word, fearing someone's judgment. But this isn't confidence, it's self-surveillance, and it creates a dangerous addiction to external validation. The Stoics warned us about this trap centuries ago. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. And why? Because real growth demands independence from praise. If you only feel strong when others approve, you're not growing, you're performing, and the performer is forever a prisoner of applause. True confidence is built on self-respect, not approval. The truly confident don't constantly look outward to gauge how they're doing. They turn inward. They measure progress by their values, not by someone else's opinions. They track growth by discipline, not applause. And above all, they would rather disappoint the world than betray themselves. This is emotional independence. And no, it doesn't mean arrogance. It means you're grounded, like a deeply rooted oak tree, standing still while the wind of public opinion blows wildly around you. This is what self-worth without comparison feels like. It's not louder, it's deeper, quiet, firm, and immovable. Modern neuroscience confirms what Stoicism already knew. Comparison activates the brain's pain centers specifically, the same circuits as physical injury. That's why scrolling social media can feel so toxic. You're not just looking, you're subconsciously ranking. And the moment your mind places you below someone else, your brain floods your body with stress hormones like cortisol. Over time, this mental habit quietly destroys focus, blurs clarity, and drains confidence. The solution? Stop looking for mirrors. Start becoming the source. Adopt an executive mindset, one that runs on internal metrics. Forget public applause. Focus on what truly matters. Ask yourself every day, did I act with integrity today? Did I keep the promises I made to myself? Did I say no to what weakens me? Did I choose long-term peace over short-term approval? If the answer is yes, you win. Even if no one claps, even if no one notices. Because when you trust your path, you don't need a cheering section. You just need traction. To help you stay grounded. Practice this simple, powerful ritual to break the habit of living for other people's opinions. 1. Journal this line every morning. Today, I will not measure myself by the reactions of others. Write it, read it, feel it. 2. Spend 1 hour completely unobserved. No social media, no feedback loops, no performing, just exist. Cook, walk, think, or sit in silence without an audience. 3. End your day with this question. Did I disappoint anyone today because I stayed true to myself? And if the answer is yes, celebrate, because that is a win. Final insight. Mirrors are for reflection, not direction. The confident don't use mirrors to decide where they're going. They decide first, and the world adjusts around them. In the last chapter, we left behind the dangerous habit of chasing mirrors, of letting others reflect back a filtered version of who we were, instead of focusing on who we're becoming. And now it's time to take that discipline one step further, because in every room you enter, in every conversation you have, and in every confrontation you face, someone is setting the frame. The frame is the invisible, unspoken assumption of how things are supposed to be. And the person who controls the frame, controls the room, sometimes without even speaking a word. Let's be blunt here. In every situation, you're either walking in with a frame, or you're being absorbed into someone else's. And most people, they shrink, they adapt, they defer. Not because they're weak, but because they haven't learned the one skill that changes everything. Mental dominance without words. In psychology, the frame is the context that defines how we interpret everything. If a man shouts at a football game, he's called passionate. But if he shouts in a meeting, he's labeled unhinged. Same behavior, different meaning. The context changes everything. And here's the brutal Stoic truth. The one who defines the context controls the narrative. Marcus Aurelius never needed to raise his voice to command a room. His very presence set the tone, calm, decisive, unshaken. Because when your internal frame is unshakable, you don't need to force influence. You radiate it. Most people walk into rooms subconsciously scanning for permission. They look around, searching for approval, adjusting their posture and words to blend in. What they don't realize is, the moment you enter a room needing validation, you've already surrendered your power often to people who haven't even earned your respect. But Stoicism flips that entire equation. You don't wait for the world to decide what this moment means. You decide. You bring the frame. You act from a core belief so solid it doesn't tremble, no matter who's watching. And what does a strong frame actually look like? It's not loud. It's not aggressive. It's certainty. It's steady eye contact that doesn't seek approval. It's words spoken with calm conviction that don't rush to fill silence. It's movements that are deliberate, not fidgeting. It's silence that isn't awkward. It's dominant. And here's the magic. When you embody this, people unconsciously adjust to you. They shift their tone. They match your energy. Sometimes, they'll even ask permission to speak. Not because you demanded it, but because your belief in your own authority was louder than their insecurity. You build your frame from within. A man with self-mastery doesn't chase control. He emanates it. And he builds his internal frame with purpose. I know why I'm here. I'm prepared for what comes. I will not violate my principles to please you. You will feel my presence without needing to hear my words. This is what real leadership looks like. It's not about status or empty titles. It's about certainty. And here's why that matters. When you're certain, people believe you even before they understand you. So here's a simple, powerful exercise. Frame the day before the day frames you. Every morning, before the noise of the world invades your mind, set your internal frame. Ask yourself, 1. What emotional state will I lead with today? Calm, clarity, conviction. 2. What behaviors will I refuse to tolerate from others? And from myself? Neediness, excuses, passive aggression. 3. What is my mission today? What would a king do next? Write it down, breathe it in, act it out, and then walk into the world like it belongs to your energy. Final insight, the frame is your throne. Don't let your environment decide who you are. Decide first. Because in a reactive world, the one who sets the frame becomes the one everyone else orbits around, even without trying. Most people aren't looking for truth. They're looking for certainty. Own yours. Hold it, protect it like your life depends on it, because your mental life does. Never ask for a room's energy. Bring your own. Walk in like your inner world is immovable, and watch how the outer world bows to it without a single word. In the last section, We uncovered how reclaiming your internal frame allows you to lead the room without a word, radiating certainty while others chase approval. Now it's time to address one of the deepest traps that holds people back: the loyalty to an outdated version of yourself. I've heard this countless times. I've always struggled with this. This is just how I am. But here's a truth: the truly confident already understand you are not your past. You are your pattern of choices today. Confidence isn't something you inherit. It's something you design. And that design begins the moment you stop being loyal to a story that no longer serves you. Why do most people stay stuck? It's rarely because they lack ambition. It's because they confuse familiarity with truth. They cling to who they've been, not because it's fulfilling, but because it's predictable, even if it makes them miserable. And society quietly reinforces this lie. You're your personality type. You're either a morning person or you're not. You're either confident or you're not. This is psychological laziness disguised as self-acceptance. But real confidence begins the moment you have the courage to say, "Who I was does not limit who I'm becoming." This isn't identity shifting in the shallow, performative, Instagrammable way. This is identity shifting in the deeply Stoic sense. A daily commitment to being guided by principle, not personality. Epictetus taught this over 2,000 years ago. He said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." It sounds simple, yet most people never act on it. Why? Because it forces them to confront a painful, uncomfortable truth: that they've been lying to themselves. They say things like, "I'm just not good with money. I can't stay calm when stressed. I always fall back into bad habits." And because they believe those stories, they act in ways that reinforce them. The narrative shapes the behavior, and the behavior validates the narrative. This is called identity-based self-sabotage. But the confident person, the one committed to growth, does something radical. They interrupt the loop. They stop asking, "Is this me?" and start asking, "Does this serve who I'm becoming?" If it doesn't, it's discarded. Not with drama, not with excuses, but with calm, ruthless clarity. The confident don't try to be confident. They act like the person they respect, long before they fully feel like that person. And here's the powerful secret: you become the person you act like most often. This isn't faking it. This is retraining your nervous system to accept a new normal. Let's get specific. If you keep telling yourself, "I'm awkward in social settings," guess what? You'll keep shrinking in every room you enter. But if you decide instead, "I am a calm, steady presence in every room I walk into," and you act accordingly, steady breath, eye contact, measured words, your brain will begin to rewire itself. Because identity isn't fixed. It's a loop between belief and behavior. The Stoics knew this centuries before modern science confirmed it. Today, neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reprogram itself. But here's the catch: it only rewires through consistent repetition, not theory. That means you have to move differently, speak differently, stand with the posture of someone you admire, long before you feel worthy of it. Because feelings follow action, not the other way around. So here's your daily practice. Write the identity, live the identity. Each morning, ask yourself: 1. Who am I becoming today? 2. What would that person do next? Then get up, act it out, and slowly, watch your nervous system adjust to a new version of you. One choice, one conversation, one decision at a time. In the last chapter, we talked about identity, not as something you inherit, but something you actively design through daily choices. Now, let's sharpen that focus even more, because every day, you have a decision to make. Who am I becoming? And what must be left behind for me to get there? Ask yourself, what would that person, the one I'm becoming, do today? What thought, behavior, or excuse must die for me to evolve? And then, here's the truth no one wants to admit: do the work. Not because you feel motivated, but because discipline is the bridge between the old you and the future you. Final insight: your future doesn't care about your excuses. The only thing standing between you and the person you're meant to become is your stubborn attachment to the version of you that you're supposed to outgrow. And every moment you hesitate, you tighten the grip of the outdated self you claim to be escaping. Let go. Not tomorrow, not after I fix myself, but right now. Because the person you truly are is already waiting for you on the other side of your decision. All you have to do is stop negotiating with who you used to be, and here's something that confident already live by. They don't let just anyone walk into their emotional world. They treat their time, their focus, and their peace of mind like royalty guards the throne. Why? Because they understand one thing most people miss. Your energy is your most valuable currency, and not everyone deserves to spend it. If you allow the wrong people into your mental and emotional space, they will drain you. Not always with bad intentions. Often, it's unconscious. But either way, it robs you of your clarity, your momentum, and your inner power. And as the Stoics would wisely remind us, that's your fault, not theirs. Not all access is earned. Yet we live in a world that conditions us to believe constant, unlimited access is normal. Text me back, pick up the phone, join this meeting, respond to this comment, explain yourself. But the truly confident, they don't answer every knock at the door. Not because they're rude, but because they're intentional. They treat their attention like sacred ground, because it is. Seneca once said, associate with those likely to improve you, welcome those you yourself can improve. The process is mutual. That's what I call energetic discernment, and most people lack it. They say yes out of guilt. They engage out of habit. They respond out of fear of being judged or misunderstood. The confident don't. They've trained their nervous system to tolerate discomfort, to remain calm when misunderstood, to stay quiet while others scramble for validation. They trade short-term approval for long-term peace. And here's where emotional intelligence really begins. With selective exposure. Let's be blunt. If someone constantly drains your mood, questions your worth, or violates your peace, they are too expensive to keep around, even if it's family, even if it's someone you've known for years. Emotional intelligence means you no longer use loyalty as an excuse to stay somewhere that kills your growth. This doesn't mean you lash out. It means you quietly, decisively withdraw access. Like a king revoking the key to the inner court, no speech, no drama, no need for permission. In the modern world, energy is the new wealth. We obsess over productivity and time management. But what's the point of having time if you don't have the mental clarity to use it? Let's be clear. Energy drives focus. Focus drives action. Action builds identity. So if your energy is constantly scattered by distractions, drained by toxic people, and wasted on meaningless drama, you're not just exhausted, you're off course. High performers, whether athletes, entrepreneurs, or artists, know this instinctively. They don't let every voice into their mental space. They practice what I call emotional minimalism. Fewer people, deeper focus, stronger results. Protecting your energy requires boundaries that don't blink. That doesn't mean you explain your limits. It means you enforce them. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your silence. You don't need to debate why you didn't answer. You don't need to justify why you left a draining conversation or relationship. The confident person never makes a dramatic announcement when they walk away. They simply vanish from energy that no longer matches their direction. No scene, no public exit. Just gone. This is Stoicism meeting strategy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do, only what you do." And that, my friend, is the mindset that turns ordinary lives into legendary ones. In the last chapter, we uncovered the importance of protecting your mental and emotional space, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. Now, let's turn that philosophy into action, because this is the Stoic blueprint for protecting your energy. You don't need control over others. You only need control over who gets proximity to your spirit. And that's real power. Here's a simple yet powerful daily practice you can implement right now. The circle of access. Draw a circle on a page. In the center, write my energy. Now ask yourself, who gets unfiltered access to my thoughts? Who drains me? And who respects my silence without demanding explanation? Once you see it on paper, you'll notice something. Every time you allow a low-quality input, a toxic conversation, or a draining presence into your mental space, you delay your own evolution. It's not about cutting people out of your life. Dramatically, it's about adjusting access. Quietly and intentionally. Final insight. Guard your energy the same way it guards your future, because it does. The older version of you gave away attention and time freely. The evolve you must guard it fiercely. Your destiny is far too important to rent out pieces of your peace to people who don't even respect it. So stop explaining, stop over-explaining, stop apologizing. Your energy is your throne. Your boundaries are the royal guards. Act like royalty. And here's a truth most people won't tell you. You don't become confident overnight. You build confidence like a craftsman, forges a sword through pressure, repetition, and relentless consistency. True confidence doesn't come from talent, popularity, or a few scattered wins. It comes from honoring the smallest promises you make to yourself every single day. This is something the Stoics understood better than anyone. They didn't chase motivation. They built momentum through discipline, because consistency is in motion. Every time you say, "I'll wake up at 6 a.m., and you actually do it, your subconscious whispers back, "I can count on you." Every time you promise yourself, "I won't check my phone during deep work," and you keep that promise, you build quiet, unshakable credibility with yourself, and it adds up. Every small act of self-discipline is a vote cast for the person you are becoming. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That's not a quote for inspiration. It's a call to ruthless, daily consistency. Because nothing shatters confidence more than self-betrayal. You can wear the right clothes, say all the right words, project the image, but if you're secretly breaking private promises to yourself, your confidence will always be hollow. Because discipline is the root of all real confidence. Self-discipline is emotional intelligence in action. It's you telling your impulses, "I run this," not you. It's resisting the urge to snap back, to slack off, to mindlessly scroll, or skip your practice. And no, it's not glamorous. No one claps for you at 5 a.m. No one congratulates you for choosing discipline over comfort. No one applauds when you quietly sit with your uncomfortable emotions instead of numbing them. But those quiet, disciplined moments, those are the true bricks of inner confidence. Because the person who can govern themselves in private can withstand anything in public. So, if you want confidence to become your default state, you must train 3 essential muscles every single day. 1. Mental clarity. Your mind is your command center. Clean it up. Journal to unload mental clutter. Meditate to detach from toxic thought spirals. Block time for deep, focused work. A distracted mind cannot lead. A clear mind commands. 2. Emotional regulation. Life will test you. People will disappoint you. Setbacks will happen. Your job isn't to avoid discomfort, it's to master your response to it. Use the 3-second rule before reacting to anything emotionally charged. Ask yourself, will this matter in 3 days? 3 months? 3 years? Use your breath like a weapon. Inhale clarity, exhale chaos. Because in the end, the world follows those who can lead themselves first. So, here's the truth we've uncovered together. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your most powerful ally. It's not the world, the people around you, or your past that determines your future. It's the pattern of thoughts you allow, the boundaries you enforce, and the identity you decide to live by starting today. You don't need to control everything. You only need to command your inner world. Focus where it counts. Guard your energy like a sacred currency. Set the frame before the world frames you. Break loyalty to the outdated version of yourself. And stop negotiating with the habits, excuses, and people who belong to the story you're leaving behind. Remember, confidence is not noise. It's clarity. It's not about being louder than others. It's about being so certain within yourself that you no longer need to compete. The Stoics knew it. Marcus Aurelius said it best. The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say, or think, or do only what you do. That tranquility is yours for the taking, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now, if this message spoke to you, if it stirred something in you, I invite you to claim it. Don't let this just be another video you watch. Let it be a pivot point, a decision to take back your mind, sharpen your focus, and move forward with calm, unshakable purpose. And if you found value here, consider joining us by subscribing to Stoic Scrolls. This is a space for those who are done with chasing validation and ready to master themselves. New videos every week. Ancient wisdom for modern battles. Until next time, stay calm, stay untouchable, and remember, you control the frame.